My wife joins me again as the co-host for this episode where we talk about empty nest and how we're dealing with it. We talk about our feelings that we've experienced during the various graduation milestones, how life is an endless series of small losses, but what you can gain, how we're dealing with empty nest, how we stay connected with our children, what parenting looks like as your children become adults, and how we are transitioning to the next phase of our lives. I'm Larry Cornett, and this is Invincible Life. Welcome back to the show, Nicole. Good to have you here again.
Thank you.
So I wanted to make sure to bring my wife back because she's definitely more popular than I am, and definitely more liked than I am too. So I wanted to have her voice on the show more often. So in this episode, we're going to talk about empty nest syndrome. And I wanted to dive a little bit into what we've experienced and how we are managing it. We have 3 kids, and the older 2 have been out of the house for a while. We have an older daughter and an older son. And our youngest child just recently graduated from college, like literally this weekend. So kind of really kicking in with the empty nest feelings and bracing for what comes next, which is him most likely, moving farther away, starting his new life and all that. And I kind of wanted to dive into this first experience of what happens with these graduation milestones. So if you have kids, you know that they have these milestones of graduations, and they've added a lot more now. But for us, it just used to be high school and then college and maybe even graduate school, which we've had some of that.
I had a kindergarten graduation.
Did you have one?
I did, yeah. I graduated kindergarten. We had little construction paper mortarboards and gowns and the whole thing.
Wow.
A yarn tassel. We made them in our craft corner.
See, I did not have anything like that. So this whole concept of a kindergarten graduation kind of kicked in later in life for me, noticing my friends having that with their kids and families. So we can maybe start with kind of the first one we experienced with our daughter when she graduated from high school. And we threw a party locally and all that kind of stuff. And I don't know if you can think back on that, Nicole, how you felt or what was going through your mind at that time.
I was excited for her. We still had other kids that needed me at home, and she wasn't going too far away. I knew that I would see her often. So I was excited.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that helped soften the blow a bit, is she was going to be going to a university here in California that was not super close, but definitely within a drive.
It was a couple hours.
Yeah, that's right. It was a couple of hours. I guess, I think with each one, it kind of, I don't know, we kind of noticed this. They kind of hit me harder. I don't know why. I always feel best and happiest when all of our kids are under the roof, and in their beds and in our home. And I feel like, I don't know, there's this feeling of safety and security. And so knowing that was no longer the case, was hard for me. I mean, yeah, I was excited for her, definitely. But yeah, there's that bittersweet kind of feeling and worrying about them, definitely. So then we had our son graduate, and this was later after we had moved. And again, it was not going too far away, a little farther. How far is...
It was about 2.5 hours.
Yeah, 2.5, because we had moved. So we had moved, and his university was about 2.5 hours. And I think he was a little homesick too. He came home
pretty regularly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Even though it was a pretty long drive. But again, it's that feeling. I think it gets a little easier with each kid, that you're kind of prepared for what's coming and you're familiar with that feeling. I don't know if it felt that way for you.
I mean, did I find it easier?
Yeah, to kind of adjust and cope because we'd already been through it
Yeah,
once.
yeah, I knew how it was gonna go. Um, so yeah, I didn't really have trouble.
Yeah, yeah. And then our youngest graduated and went off to a town that's only about, oh, what, an hour and a half from here. I mean, I guess there
Well,
was that period
actually,
of
he was
COVID,
home.
right?
Yeah, he was home a lot longer.
Right, right. So, yeah, we had a weird time period. So our daughter was in graduate school down in Monterey, and our youngest was doing kind of his college studies, but all of them were living at home because of COVID, because everything had closed down. So it was kind of a, I don't know, I kind of liked it.
Yeah, no, it was nice.
Yeah,
Well, we had everyone at home. It was really nice. It's a little
yeah,
gift,
rare, huh?
a COVID gift.
I know it's kind of a strange moment in time, and I think a lot of people experience this where there was the worry and the fear and all the bad things that were happening with COVID, but then there was also families being together um, and spending more time together and people working from home, a lot of people sometimes for the first time. And so kind of bringing families closer together. I know we got a lot of hiking done because we're really into that as a family. So we did a lot of hiking, going up into the mountains and the forest, and really we're pretty active and always eating dinner tonight at night together and things like that.
A lot of trying new dessert recipes and trying new
Hmm.
dinner recipes, trying new drink recipes. Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah. And I think, and then it's a little different with college graduation. um, because it is this transition period in the kids' lives where they're starting to move from being students and young adults and actually starting to become adults.
And the losing of the coming home for breaks and stuff, because when they're in college, you still are seeing them regularly. You know, maybe they come home for the whole summer, they come
Hmm.
home for over a month at Christmas time.
Right.
Um, and I think once they get a job, it's very different as far as when you
Yeah.
can visit.
Yeah. And they have a job, they have a place to live, and they don't need to come home and do their laundry, things like that. And, they're dating people, and so they're spending time with someone else. And yeah, it definitely changes, and you're starting to get a sense of, okay, this is the way it's going to be, that they're moving on with their life, which you want. You want them to, but you can already start to feel the link between you, the tether lengthening, stretching as they're farther away, and it's not quite as close as it used to be. And it's a bittersweet feeling because you want it and you need it and they need it, but it's also a feeling of a little bit of loss. And I know people talk about empty nest, and I'll bring up a kind of some of the description of it. And maybe some of you listening have experienced this, but it's this feeling of sadness, of loss, the feelings of depression, can be loneliness, worry, anxiety over their kids. Like what's their future? Are they okay? Especially we've had this happen. They get sick, so they're sick and they're not with you, and you really want to take care of them, but you're too far away. Um, and then this weird kind of loss of purpose and meaning. So I think some of this depends on your parenting style and how deeply engaged you are with your kids. But if that's been a central part of your life, then it's like, okay, now what? And a lot of marriages also have increased tension. I know when I was growing up, it was kind of like clockwork. The kids would go off to college, and lo and behold, in the kind of the year after that, a lot of divorces. A lot of my friends' parents got divorced. Um, and it's a challenge. And you had talked about this, I think, that if you look at life as you grow older, it is this endless series of small losses. And
Sure.
maybe you could talk a little bit about that, because I think you had that insight.
Well, I was just thinking, I mean, it was thinking about graduations that, there's often talk of people like the first time they take their child to school,
Mm-hmm.
dropping
Or
them off.
daycare or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, the dropping them off, they're not at home, and the sadness that could people crying about
Yeah.
that. And so a loss of a little bit of time that they had been spending with their child. And, as their child gets older, spending more time with friends, there's a little bit more of a loss. And then I was talking to someone recently whose only child is getting married. And ahead of that, feeling like that is going to be a loss. The little time that she was spending with her son is going to be even less, because he's going to have a new family, a new extended family, and there is only so much time available. And so that it's another loss.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And I think life is like that. I mean, it's just the way it is beyond a certain age, that I think there are these little losses of being close to your original family that you grew up with, your siblings, your parents, losing your parents when they pass away. And I know you've experienced that. And so that's definitely a loss. And then the losses that come with aging, right? Yeah.
Loss of your muscle mass,
Physical capabilities.
loss of your eyesight and your hearing.
Yeah, I'm wearing reading glasses right now. So yeah, there are a bunch of losses. And I think what you have to do kind of simultaneously to go through that, to get through it, because it's inevitable. I'm sorry. I hate to be the one to break this to you. Maybe you're aware of this too, but it's like you can't stop this, the march of time. People will grow older and they will pass away. You will grow older and you will lose capabilities like your hearing and your eyesight and physical capabilities. Your kids will grow older and start their families. It's inevitable. You can't avoid it. So I think you have to look for opportunities to say, okay, what are the gains going to be?
Well, gaining wisdom.
Yeah,
I
that's
think
a great one.
pretty huge. Gaining perspective, things that seemed big and important. You can look back and say, yeah, that wasn't as big of a deal as I thought it was. And I think gaining perspective is a huge win, a huge gain as you grow older.
Yeah, and I've noticed, even I'm in my late 50s, increasing confidence and calm. I have not been a calm person during my life. And that perspective of caring less about what other people think and realizing who are the people that actually do matter, caring less about a lot of stuff and focusing on the stuff that matters. And I talk about this a lot for my career podcast and my solopreneur podcast, that it gets very clear, like what matters in terms of relationships and your health and your time freedom, which is something you gain. And I don't think people talk about that, but as you get older, work less, maybe fully retire, you get your time back. And it's like you can waste it, which some people do, or you could say, what can I do with all this amazing time? And we've talked about it. We're spending every week hiking together. We do kind of our Wednesday thing, like an all-day date. And we go hiking or we go skiing. And so we're trying to make the most of our time. And we use time that I have, because luckily we're both entrepreneurial, so we don't have to be tied to jobs, and we go and visit our kids or we take a trip together with the kids. So we're trying to do that. We're trying to find ways that we can see what we're gaining while we may be losing something. And even with your kids, like they get into good relationships and you're gaining a new person in the family that you really enjoy. I think about your brother Earl as just one example, and his wife, she's become a good friend of ours. And so we have the siblings of your brothers who become friends of ours and part of the family. Hoping to have the same thing with our kids, that they have partners that we welcome into the family and enjoy time together, and they're a new friend to have in the family. And then grandkids hopefully come along someday. You get
another new relationship.
You get babies. You get to play with babies again, and I'm excited about that. Definitely excited about that. So it's been a challenge, I think, trying to look at this, because for me it hit. It definitely hit when Xander went off. That's our youngest, to college, and I was like, our house was empty for the first time. So we were past COVID, and the kids were all off doing what they're doing. We're like, the house gets really quiet. we're sitting there drinking coffee in the morning. It's just like completely silent. And that's, I think, when it hit me, and that silence hit me. And it took me a couple of months to get through it, where I was pretty depressed, and feeling really sad, and feeling like, okay, now what? Now what? What do we do? What's our purpose? What do we focus on? How do we spend our days if we're not busy with the kids and doing stuff and thinking about everything that they have to do and helping them get ready for stuff? It's just, you kind of have this loss, and this loss of purpose. I don't know if you felt some of that or something different.
I think I feel different. I still feel that I still feel really connected to our kids.
Yeah.
And I still, feel like a mom, even though I'm not hands-on, making food for them and things like that. Because I talk to them really often.
Yeah, you're good about that.
And so I know what's going on in their life. And I find that exciting too, because they're off doing interesting things.
Yeah.
And it's
lots of adventures.
It's fun to hear what they're experiencing. The flip side of that is, because I talk to them so much, I also know when things aren't going well. And that is, I think, much harder for me to deal with than when they were small. Right. And it was easy for me to comfort them and help them through whatever troubles they were having. Now that they're all in their 20s, they have much bigger problems that I can't solve with a kiss and a hug and a cookie or whatever. And so the biggest thing I've had is trouble sleeping. Because I wake up and I'm worried, about something that they are experiencing, that I can do nothing about.
Yeah.
And so I think I've experienced more anxiety after our kids left home, but not really a depression about it, because I'm excited for what they're doing and where they're going.
Yeah. I think you made a good point that some of my friends who have younger children who are still at home, and even some that are just now starting families and have babies, they say, "Oh, I can't wait till it gets easier." And the kids are older. The kids are teenagers. It's going to be easy. And it's like, no, it's different. It's not easy. And then there's this, I'll call it a myth, that you're done when the kids are 18 or they go off to college and they graduate, and you're like, okay, I'm done. I'm done being a parent. They don't need me anymore. And And again, people are like, well, that must be easy. It must be, wow, I'm just going to relax and we're going to vacation and focus on work and whatever else. And I think if you're the kind of parent who really wants to be part of your kids' lives, you're not done. And it does not get easier per se. It gets different. And, as Nicole was just saying, you do have anxiety and worry about the kids. And it's a whole different type of worry that you have. It's not the simple things like somebody broke up with them in, junior high, or they got a bad grade on a test, or they fell down and skinned their knee. It's not that kind of stuff. It's
because
bigger stuff.
things that are happening are much higher stakes than they are when they're younger. I mean, if
life partner choices, right? Career choices, where they're going to live. Like we have 2 of our kids living in Alaska, which is huge. And that's very far away. So you can't just pop over for a lunch or drop in to help them move. It's super
Or like
stressful.
you said, help when they're sick.
Yeah, we've had that. Yeah, you really have to rely on their local kind of circle. And we've even had to call people and say, can you check on the kid? We haven't heard from them. And they were sick with a fever and stuff. And it gets so stressful. But I think what's interesting, this is, I think, a gain too. And I feel like I've experienced this, and perhaps you have too, because you're really close with the kids, but we're moving into a phase where there's a new level of friendship forming with our kids, and the parent-child relationship becomes different, where they're teaching us stuff. They definitely
absolutely. Yeah.
We're learning things from them all the time, and we're sharing stuff with each other, and they share stuff with us. And we are becoming friends, and we love spending time with each other. But it's not as parental as it used to be. It's more kind of like, hey, let's go hiking together, or let's go play a game together, whatever. But it's not, let me be the parent and tell you what to do. We're beyond that. We're not really doing that anymore. And I think, so Nicole had mentioned a little bit about how to stay connected. I wanted to share some stuff with all of you, and I'm sure you know some of this, and some folks I've talked to know, but some of the other stuff they don't. We obviously, can do phone calls with the kids, text the kids. We have a group text, which is all of us. So our whole family's in a group text. And so we'll use that to communicate. But we've also set up a Discord. So we have a private Discord server. And if you haven't checked out Discord, Discord, you should. Originally a gaming platform, so people could connect, and they could even do voice communication while they're playing a game. They put a headset on, play a game. And the kids introduced us to that. And so the boys had been using Discord while they played video games with their friends. And that's how I learned about it and checked it out. And I use it for my community. So I have a career community and a solopreneur community and all that kind of stuff. But then we set up a private Discord just for us. And it's just our family. And we can share photos. We share recipes. We put updates in there. We share jokes or memes. I guess that's me. But
and we also use it to play games because family board games and game nights were a huge part of our lives when the kids were small and, even through high school. And then college, when they would come home for breaks, we would always play board games together. And then the time happened where everyone was spread out in different cities across the country.
Yeah.
And I don't remember who suggested it, probably our youngest, that there were some games that we could play through Discord. So we have that game we love. What is it called? Codenames.
Oh, Codenames.
And he said you can do that online. So he pulled up a Codenames game. We all signed into Discord, set up a voice channel so we could all hear each other.
Right.
And we would set up a time, all get together and play board games and chat.
Yeah.
Even though we were separated by quite a bit of distance, we still could connect by playing the game. It was fantastic.
Yeah, there are a lot of, and I think all these games we play are free, so they're pretty accessible. There's another one that's kind of like Pictionary but different, and
Oh
so
yeah, that one's
we
fun.
played that, and that's fun. Yeah, lots of stuff. Yeah, our boys like to play video games, so they introduce us to stuff. And again, yeah, they teach us stuff, they show us stuff, and so it's been a new way for us to stay connected with them. And we've also had family vacations together. So we did one, was it last year? Maybe it was the year before when we went to Mexico. Trying to remember. Gosh, I lose
I think
track
it
of
was the
time.
year before.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that could be. So we all met and flew from our respective places around the country in Mexico. Got an Airbnb for a week or so, whatever it was, and shared it and just spent the week together. We did hikes. We went to the beach. We ate great tacos, amazing street food. You know, it's just like really enjoyable. It was fun. I mean, really fun. And we want to do more of that. So that's another idea is for us to say maybe once a year we all meet somewhere and we can share an Airbnb, get a cabin on a lake or wherever, and vacation together and just spend some time together. And we're lucky that our kids still like to do that. They want to do that. So that's been a great way for us to stay connected. I'd say we're actually in a couple of months going to all, well, those of us that don't live there are going to fly to Alaska and go visit and spend the week together. So we're going to have probably a lot of hiking, probably a lot of food, probably a lot of time at various remote cabins and things like that. But you got to make an effort. And I think you talk a lot about this, Nicole, that the families that tend to grow apart, I think it's when people just think things should happen. And before they know it, years have gone by and they haven't spent time together. Or months have gone by without a phone call. And you really are good about this. And you talk about it, that it's the parent's responsibility. You are the parent. And so you have to make an effort and you have to put things in motion to make sure that you're communicating and staying connected and spending time together.
And I think just like with other things with parenting, if you show that, you show that you want to be connected, pretty soon before you know it, they are making the effort.
True.
And staying connected, not the thing which I think some people do, like going into college, telling their kids, you need to call me every Sunday, or, as a rule,
Yeah, it's not
you
like
need
that.
to do this. Not some kind of pronouncement of
Or
how
guilt
you
trip.
need to, or, oh, no, don't get me started. I do not believe in,
Don't guilt your children.
I do not believe in parenting through guilt. But you do things, you make the effort. And I think you've noticed that our kids are making the effort. They are realizing they haven't talked to us and they reach out. And it doesn't have to be a production. It can be just a quick call or a quick text. I'm thinking of you. How are you? Good morning. It doesn't have to be a big thing, but we have these little things back and forth and the connection stays.
Yeah, we do little things. I mean, every day we all play kind of the New York Times games. So we play Wordle and Connections and what's the other one? The
Strands.
Yeah, so we play these games, which
and
it's good
share
for our
them
old brains, but we share
them in a Discord chain, because those can clog up a text thread pretty quickly.
See, that's why we set up Discord.
So you don't want
to get text all day long? Ding, 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 ding. Okay, I really don't. I'm trying to get my siblings to do this too. We actually have a group text with my siblings, and it's been good for us to stay connected. But I'm coaching, I'm doing stuff, and I can't have my phone messaging all day long. So Discord's great. That's why I keep recommending it to people is go in when you have time and catch up on your messages and, message back to people, share a photo of your lunch, whatever. It doesn't matter. But do it on your time and then get back to work or whatever you have to do.
I mean, we also really like, I think, the recipes channel that we
Yeah, it's
have on
fun.
Discord, because the kids will say, "Oh, what was that thing you made, Mom? Can you send that recipe?" So I put it there and they can always go back to it. And if I had sent it in a text, they
Yeah,
would
it gets it.
never find it, but they can go to the recipes in Discord and there they all are. Or they try something new.
Right. Yeah.
They've tried something and they're like, "This was fantastic. I think you guys would like it." And
Yeah.
it's,
That's fantastic.
speaking of them teaching us, it's nice.
Oh, totally. They totally do. And so I guess, that's kind of how we stay in touch with our kids. And that's how we're getting through this empty nest feeling, is realizing it's going to be different. It's going to change, but we can be as close to them as we make the effort to be. And we are already discussing, Nicole and I, it's like, okay, when we have everybody kind of spread out in different places, we're going to start traveling more. Lucky to have the flexibility with the work I do, that as long as I have an internet connection in my laptop, I can get work done. So there's no reason for us to be tied to our house. We could go and stay somewhere for a month where the kids are and visit and have the slow pace of doing that, because this is something we've talked about. The short visits, when you're trying to cram everything into a few days, it's a lot of work and it disrupts the kids' lives. They have jobs, they're going to have families, and it's like, drop everything and take vacation time to spend with us. But if you go and it's like laid back because you have time, then it's like, yeah, we'll see you on the weekend.
And we'll do our
together.
own thing during the week.
Yeah. And we'll do stuff on our own, right? But we'll be there, and it's not this intense pressure to try to cram visit into 3 days. And so we're kind of looking forward to that. And that's a model that I think can work really well for us. And then I guess the last thing, I talked about this happens a lot with couples. The kids grow up, the kids move out, and now the couples no longer have a connection. They're like, hey, we were mom and dad and parenting. This is what bonded us together. Now that they're gone, who are we? We've forgotten who we are as a couple, what brought us together and made us get married, why we fell in love with each other. And so I've talked about this in some other stuff that I've shared, but we're really making an effort to reconnect as a couple and to take time. Like I said, we do it every Wednesday, to say, let's get out of the house. I don't work on Wednesday. Let's go do something. Let's spend the day together and really remember who we are as a couple, because it can be a time for that. And so you can either have this empty nest tear you apart as a couple, which happens, and you grow apart, or you can find a way to reconnect and get closer. And I think that's been super helpful for us.
We also, when we're out and about, we're talking the whole time, talking about our future plans, and that's, I think, even just small things like trips that we're taking, and, what's the next one, and what do we want to do? Where do we want to go?
Yeah.
And I think future planning, it's fun.
It is. It's a big world. There's a lot to see. And it's sure is a lot more enjoyable to share it with someone. I can tell you that. And we both agree. It's like, hey, I do not feel like trying to rebuild an entire life with someone. We don't have the patience for that. So, she's my best friend, and she just happens to also be my wife, and that's fantastic. And so
how
now we're on to our next
convenient.
adventure. All right, I guess that's it. Any final thoughts you want to share, or we wrap this up?
Sure.
Okay. Well, good luck. As always, leave comments, leave a question. You can go to newsletter.invinciblelife.me. And if you have thoughts about this, or if there's anything that we can help with, answering questions, happy to do so. Until next time, I wish you the best of luck with pursuing the life of your dreams so you can be happier, healthier, and more fulfilled.